Alrighty, Adam Stark here, and today I'm going to be going over and breaking down the lyrics to my most recent song, and these are the most important lyrics I've ever written. Jesus Christ is Lord, epic rap song by Adam Stark, myself. Now, first things first, forgive the video itself. My phone's been doing this weird thing, so the visuals on the screen may not match my words at the time. I apologize. It's complicated to explain. Anyways, I'm just going to break down the lyrics line by line. I'm going to explain them, go through my process, and explain all the multiple literal meanings, multiple implied meanings, little hidden meanings, Easter eggs, and stuff like that. And quickly, for those of you new to me who may not have ever heard of me or don't know anything about me, just going to explain really quick. I have been publicly writing and publishing and crafting lyrics online for free publicly since 2007. And I always do everything that involves my talents online for free. I've never once asked for money. I never will. That's not the point. For me, the point is to get my talent out there and to prove to the world I have talent. Over the years, I have broken down the barriers of the English language. I have invented new wordplay mechanics, and I have done incredible feats that have survived under scientific scrutiny, such as I have invented the first verifiable, provable, septuple literal meaning rhyme, where I say one thing one way without forcing the language. You say it one way, and it has 7 literal meanings in one. Okay, I have also created the first duodecable entendre, which is 12 implied meanings, and I list all of them in there. You can look that up. Everything I'm saying is on the internet and backed up, and archived and everything and time-stamped. So that all being said, what brought me here is about 2 years ago. I should mention a little other. I'm sorry. Also, I'm also a gamer. Not that that's important to the writing stuff. I am a freestyle MC. I have done several hours of live stream freestyles. If you don't know what those are, as a fan of rap or not, excuse me, it's very cold where I am. Those are impromptu, off the top of the head performances and live streams I've done incredible works there, shown and proven over the years. I am also an undefeated freestyle battle rapper. I don't do written rap battles, but I used to do freestyle rap battles. All those are online on my various channels and various platforms. Undefeated. Now, I've also been an author. So far at this point, I've released 6 books. I think I'm done. You never know what the future holds, but I've done 6 books. One of them was extremely successful. I'm very proud of that. It did get ranked number 1 online in the comedy genre on a major ebook website. And everything I'm saying you can look up. I've posted proofs of all these things. So this is just anybody that doesn't know anything about me. Now you can know this stuff and look at this because I've archived and clipped everything so everybody can see this. And anyways, going with that consistency. So about 2 years ago, 2023, well, now it's early 2026 now, but 2023, I said I'm done. I said I retire, I quit. I'm going to stop this because I believe in God, and I believe that though generally speaking, I don't think I'm directly blaspheming. I do feel bad. I do feel like my foul language and stuff cannot possibly be seen as a good thing in the eyes of the Lord. So I feel bad, and I said I quit. And I mentioned that I'm not going to sell my soul for fame or anything like that, like many others have done. So I tried my best to stop. Now, I've done a few songs since then, clean, not inappropriate, not swearing, and not saying anything like, because hip-hop's a competition. So yes, in my rap songs, I'm going to say a lot of, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to do this and that, and that's bad, except I look at hip-hop as a competition. So I feel like that's what we're supposed to do to each other is try and outdo each other. And that's what I've always been consistently doing, improving with my punchlines and my style. Okay, that's just how it goes. But still, I feel like even though I might not directly be blaspheming, in some cases I certainly did, and I feel bad about that. But in other cases, the general idea of saying such horrible things, like violent imagery and stuff, I feel like it can't possibly be seen as a good thing as a proud Christian I am now. So that's why I retired. And so after, I also did music for other genres as well. and I had a good time doing those, and those were positive. They didn't have any foul language or anything like that. But for a long time, I said, I don't know if I could ever make a Christian rap song. I just didn't think it would work. And then, of course, what do I want to do? I want to make a song about Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. And I thought, can I do that? Can I actually make a passionate rap about Jesus, where I'm actually rapping with passion, rapping fast, and I'm doing crazy multiple literal meanings and metaphors and bars and entendres and punchlines? Can I actually do that? Can I actually apply figurative language at a high level of talent when I'm crafting these lyrics and provide that in a song for Jesus? I'm like, I don't know. And at one point I actually stopped, and I stopped writing, and I said, you know what? I don't think I should do this song. I don't think it can be done. I think I'm in over my head. And as I stopped, I started thinking about more lyrics, and then I continued going. And the one thing that really helped me too was the very opening line of the song. I mentioned, my words could never do you justice. And that's kind of what helped me get through making this song, because I always think about what the critics would say about me, besides things I can't control, like my voice. I don't have a good voice. I can't control stuff like that, so they can crap on me on that all they want. And I'm not the best at making choruses, so critics can say I'm bad at chorus. Well, whatever. Those are my weaknesses, okay? I'm human. But I thought, one thing that Christians could say is, well, how arrogant could, and I'm saying this hypothetically, of course, but how arrogant could this Adam Stark guy be to say he could talk about everything there is about Jesus in a 5-minute song? Like what? And that's why I thought, well, I want to counter that right away, so nobody can make the mistake. I said my words could never do you justice. Like I said it right there, right at the opening line of the song, so that everybody knows I'm not covering everything, and I would not pretend to be covering everything, because I love Jesus, and I would not disrespect him, even hypothetically disrespect him. I'm listing a lot of things, but I am not listing everything, or even close. I am listing things that I felt like listing. I am listing things that I felt like haven't been touched on in a way that only I can do at this caliber of providing multiple literal meanings and layered punchlines and internal rhyme schemes that I haven't seen done. And I've done this my whole career. Yes, I say career, even though I don't make money on purpose. But I'm going to use that word anyway, because at least it makes, you know what I mean if I say that. Or I could say my whole journey. Like, that's how I've been writing and performing. And I thought, can I really do that about Jesus? And once I started thinking about some of these lines and writing them down, I said, now I have to do it, because now these lines are coming together so well. And I'm like, I have to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to finish this song. And now this is the most important song I've ever made. And I released it in the vocals alone, a cappella. That way, if a better beat comes along or something later, or some audio person knows how to clean up the audio, make it sound better, put it on another song, whatever, I'm ready. It's there, available for anybody to do that, because I took the time to get that going, because that's important to me. Somebody might have a different instrumental interpretation of how my lyrics should be on. This is the beat I came up with and I like, but somebody might have a much better beat that they think fits the way that I rap better on it. Who knows? That's why I released it both as the vocals alone and as the entire song there. Okay? All right, so now that I've gotten that very clear, I'm just going to go line for line. I'm going to explain anything I feel like I need to explain. And I'm going to start with the chorus. Now, the chorus is cut into 1/3 of it in the song, because I actually have a plan for somebody to sing. She is going to sing the words in the upper part of the chorus. So that's why you only hear the bottom part of the chorus when you see the lyrics on the screen, when you listen to the song. And as always, and when the songs I make, I put words in parentheses. Those words are not spoken out loud in the song. They are not spoken out loud. Those are to show and explain the multiple meanings, sometimes literal meanings, sometimes implied meanings. And it's a visual aid. So the words in parentheses you never say out loud. I'm pretty sure people know that, but just in case, I want to explain that. Okay, so my chorus is, song for Jesus, hymn I sing. Now, hymn is a double meaning, because song for Jesus, that's a hymn, Hymn. And again, song for Jesus, Him I sing, H-I-M, him, because I'm singing for Jesus. So it's a easy double meaning. I think everybody understands that. Made in your image, witnessing, you made for me pieces for my heart. Okay, this is a double literal meaning. Peace is for my heart, P-E-A-C-E space I-S, for my heart, and pieces for my heart, P-I-E-C-E-S, for my heart. Okay, so the double literal meaning there is you made peace for my heart, okay? So that's what you did. You made for me, peace is for my heart, because you have put peace into my heart, where before my heart was hardened, and the Bible speaks about that. So my heart was hardened before I found you. Now I found you. Now I have peace. Thank you so much, and we love you. Okay, now pieces, as in P-I-E-C-E-S. Well, if you've molded me and made people, and that's what you do, obviously you've made pieces for my heart. Now, you've made pieces for every part of me, physical matter, of course, but I'm saying for the heart part specifically because this is the chorus. Okay, I'm pretty sure everybody got that, but just in case. Continuing, you died for me, I'll live for you. You gave me everything, there's nothing I wouldn't give to you. Okay, think that's self-explanatory. You died for me, and I will live for you, for your honor, for your glory. You gave me everything, there's nothing I wouldn't give to you. I'm spreading your word, glorifying you. I think that's obvious. I don't think I really need to explain that, but okay. Then this is the part you actually hear in the song itself. In the first version of the song is in this chorus, I said, crucifix, Eucharist, betrayal when Judas kissed the Jewish prince. Crucifix, the Eucharist, are you convinced to repent? Okay, I think that's obvious. I don't think anybody has any hard time figuring that out. It's a chorus, so it's not. I'm not like explaining layers of things, but I'm thinking of things that rhyme that you would definitely associate with Jesus, and so the crucifix is an obvious one, and the Eucharist is his body, of course, that he has given to us. And betrayal when Judas kissed the Jewish prince. So when Judas betrayed Jesus to Pontius Pilate, it said that he kissed him on the cheek, and then that showed them who Jesus was, who was the Jewish prince. Okay, and then obviously I'm mentioning those things again. I'm saying, are you convinced to repent? Because that's what we want. We want people to repent. We want people to go to heaven. We want people to be saved. We don't want people going into hell. Okay, now here's the lyrics for all the verses. Okay. Adam Stark's words could never do you justice. I am finite. Your words shine bright infinity. Okay. Very obvious, as I mentioned this before, but actually, before I get to the lyrics, I want to say one more thing really quick. I do think it's important. Nobody's understanding of scripture and theology is perfect. Nobody's. So if I say some things that you might personally disagree with as a Christian, I do apologize, but please keep in mind, okay, at the end of the day, having perfect theology and understanding of scripture is not a requirement to get into heaven. If that was required to have perfect theology to get into heaven, none of us would make it. Okay, so keep that in mind, please. Show me a little grace here, because the main part of this is all true. I'm talking about Jesus and his life and his teachings. Okay, anyways, and what he means to all of us. Okay, so me saying my words can never do you justice, because I am finite, but your words shine bright infinity. Okay, so the point of me saying this is I could never write enough about you to fully tackle everything about you. And I'm not going to pretend that that's possible. That would be disrespectful to Jesus to say that I could possibly make a song that would do all of that. No, I would never pretend to do that. That's just wrong. So I'm making that very clear right in the beginning, so anybody listening to this doesn't think I'm some arrogant guy that thinks I could write everything about Jesus and disrespect him like that. Like, oh, Adam can write everything about Jesus in a few minutes. No, I don't want that to be a thing. So I said, I'm finite, and then obviously the comparison that you're infinity, Jesus, because there you go. Continue with the lyrics here. In the beginning, the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and you established your ministry. Okay, I think that's pretty obvious. That's John 1:1, John 1 verse 1. That's an exact quote. In the beginning, the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Okay, then I continue not saying any more exact quote, and I say, and you established your ministry. I think that's obvious. I don't think I needed to explain that. I think it just makes sense. In the Gospel of John, I quoted the first thing from there, and I explained how you established your ministry. Okay, continuing the lyrics here. The angel of the Lord, the ancient ram with Abraham, the scriptural Trinity. Okay, angel of the Lord was Jesus Christ in the Old Testament, but he wasn't called Jesus yet. He wasn't flesh yet. That was the angel of the Lord. Now, you see the angel of the Lord in many examples, but I think one that sticks out to me personally was when Abraham took Isaac to the mountain and the ram, and then the angel of the Lord stopped Abraham from sacrificing Isaac because he got the point to fear the Lord. The angel of the Lord was there, and it explains the start of the Trinity, okay? So the teachings of the Trinity, there you go, the angel of the Lord there, and ancient ram, because at that, I'm calling it ancient because, Moses' time was what, 3,800 years before today or something. So I figure Abraham was a generation or so, 2 or 3 before that. So to me, that's ancient. So I said ancient ram, and it rhymes with Abraham perfectly. Okay, it's starting of the scriptural Trinity. Okay, and then I said, continuing the lyrics here, the laws from Moses' time for hardened hearts were exchanged differently. Then people ponder each compare a sin like a simile. Okay, so in Moses' time, not being arrogant, but this is why some people need to be careful when they teach the Bible. In Deuteronomy, it explains that God was allowing things that he personally did not agree with, such as divorce. That was in Moses' time. In Deuteronomy, explain you can get a divorce back then. Why? And then people questioned Jesus about it, and Jesus explained that that was because in that time period, they had hardened hearts. That was the stiff-necked people generation and stuff. So it was different at Moses' time. Now, that's why I explained the laws of Moses' time where hardened hearts were exchanged differently. And now this genius line I wrote, then people ponder each comparison like a simile. Okay, comparison and compare a sin, 3 words. It rhymes perfectly and it makes perfect sense. I said like a simile because a simile is when you do a comparison. There you go. And a simile also uses the word like or the word as, A-S. And so I said they each comparison like a simile, and they each compare a sin like a simile. Divorce. Hey, divorce shouldn't be allowed, but they allowed it back then. What's going on? Jesus explained that to him. And that's why I put it like that. Comparison, compare a sin perfectly. And I tied it back to the laws of Moses' time, hardened hearts. I explained all right there. Very good. Showing Jesus' wisdom, showing that he is sovereign, and showing that he's God in the flesh. Okay, the next line is so funny and so cool to me. I wanted it to be my first opening line ender, and I'm amazed. I looked this up on the internet to make sure. I'm amazed this has never been said in a song about Jesus before or in a religious song before. Blows my mind. Now, why did I want this? I wrote this song in a way where I'm going to have multiple lines in this song that you could take as just a singular quote and you could say in everyday language. And it might have multiple meanings that go right over your head, or it might make perfect sense and it's just cool because that's how I write. I do this in all my songs, okay? But this time it has an actual purpose. It's not just bragging rights. It's about Jesus. So anyways, the lyrics here to end this awesome opening line, verse. I'll explain why proudly I wear my cross in your honor religiously. You even changed spelling in English. You spell salvation with a lowercase little t. End quote. Oh, just awesome. So I do wear a cross that's on my necklace. Okay. But even despite that, okay, I said something here. Now, this is what's called an exaggeration. It's a figurative exaggeration. But so it's not a multiple literal meaning. No, but it's just something cool. I'm saying you changed salvation. You now spell salvation with a lowercase little t because in English, the lowercase little t looks like a cross. 100% looks like a cross. Okay, there's no debate there. And so there I said you spell salvation with the lowercase little t. You see that cross, you think salvation. Now, you don't spell it literally with a T, because if you just put salvation and you spelled it with a T, that doesn't work. But I'm saying it's a visual double implied meaning. It's just cool, and it's funny at the same time. Okay, now I'm going into verse 2. your omnipotence, your God in the flesh. Now, I'm going to stop here. Why is that important? Because some people like to limit Jesus and think when he was flesh and he was on earth that he somehow wasn't in perfect union and I forget, hypostatic union with the Father. They think like, oh, he's limited or something. No, he's omnipotent and he's God in the flesh. Okay. How did he know that fish was going to have money in it for Peter? Like, I could go on about this all day, but that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to explain my lyrics. So I said, your omnipotence means you're everywhere and you're God in the flesh. Okay. Continuing. Jesus felt his power go out. Delight's an understatement. Unhealthy girl touched his garment, and it defined her faith when she was healed after 12 years of pain, and she rose up, and despite the hemorrhage, in more than one way, he witnessed her blood flowed to give her life enrichment. End quote. Okay, this is awesome. So in the story, Jesus was walking, and a woman, she was unhealthy. So I said that in the setup. I word these things so carefully so you can't miss these things. She is unhealthy. She touched Jesus's garment. Okay, this is in the Bible. She touched his garment, and it defined her faith because after 12 years of pain from this blood problem she was having, she was healed. And Jesus called her a daughter and said that it was her faith that saved her. You know, this is all in the Bible. But anyways, it actually says in the Bible, it says Jesus felt his power go out of him. So how did I make that a double literal meaning? I put apostrophe between the words power go out. I said Jesus felt his power go out, which is true. That's what he said. And then delight's an understatement. So here's the double literal meaning. Delights, D-E-L-I-G-H-T-S. That's a happy thing. Delights. It's delights. The delight's an understatement. Okay, so it means they're very happy that what happened here. And the double literal meaning, dull space lights, D-U-L-L space L-I-G-H-T-S. Double literal meaning right there. Anyways, now I explain in the line here that she rose up, and despite the hemorrhage in more than one way, he witnessed her blood flowed to give her life enrichment. So she was able to stand up, she got faith, she was healed, and so here's the double literal meaning, blood flowed, past tense, and blood float, B-L-O-O-D space F-L-O-W-E-D, flowed, and float, blood space F-L-O-A-T. If she physically raised, her blood would float, technically speaking. That's why I made this a double literal meaning. Technically, it happens. Okay, your blood would float because you were at a lower altitude than when you were standing up physically. And her blood flowed, past tense, flowed. If it flowed, that means it's not in a hemorrhage anymore. There's a double literal meaning right there. So I took an existing, and you'll see this throughout my song here. I took existing, well-known, well-documented miracles that Jesus performed here on earth, and I did them where I basically explained them, but I add multiple literal meanings in a way that now you can appreciate them even more and in a different perspective, coming from the rap perspective, where we're honoring him, but we're saying it in different words, but we're honoring it and enhancing the point of it, because now you can say what has already been said for over 2,000 years about the miracle, and now you can say it in a rhyme form where I'm applying figurative language and giving it multiple literal meanings throughout. So it's it's another way of honoring him, but I'm doing it my way, my talent is this. This is my talent, so therefore, that's what I'm doing. Okay, continuing here. Next lyrics. The consensus is the daughter of Jairus is down for the count, but Jesus said to rise, and she did. Watching with faith embraced, then Jairus' daughter gave him a standing ovation. Now, I'm going to stop right there. So, this is a little light punchline. It's not a double meaning. It's just adding a little spice to it. When you think consensus, the consensus means the majority opinion is that the daughter of Jairus is down for the count. So down for the count is a very common slang that means she's not going to make it. She's out. Okay. And obviously census, that's when you do put people down for a count, like a literal count, like numbers. And so that's light. It's not a double literal meaning. It's just light. It's just something to spice the line up. That's all it is. Okay. And then what happened? Jesus said to raise, and she did. Okay. And then I said she gave him a standing ovation. It's just a cool line. It's not that deep. It's just a cool line. It's a new way to look at the miracle. The miracle of Jairus' daughter being able to stand when they thought she was done for, and she gave him a standing ovation. I mean, that's all. It's just a new way to look at it. So that's why I wrote it like that. Continuing the lyrics. That's just one example of pious and honor. Those who witnessed Jairus' daughter, Jesus rose too, to the right of the Father. He stood up for justice and challenged disciples and scholars. The followers baptized them with water. He will judge the living and the dead. A mere creature couldn't identify with and sponsor a divine pledge from authors, witness to scribes' acceptance to God's words on earth. Okay, so basically what I'm saying is this. Those who witnessed Jairus' daughter rose, I'm saying, guess what? Jesus rose too. He rose up to the right of the Father, just like prophecy, just like he said, because he is one in being with the Father. Okay, but he also stood up, which is another way of saying rose. See how I switched the verb there? He stood up, rose, he stood up for justice and challenged disciples and scholars, which is exactly what he did. He was unapologetic. He called them brutal vipers and everything. The utmost respect. He wasn't holding his tongue for anybody. He is better than any one of us. He is the one we want to be like, and I'm honoring him in this, and I'm explaining this using metaphorical language that has never been done at this caliber before. Okay? And then obviously I'm explaining why the Jews were baffled. He's saying things a mere creature could never identify with and sponsor. That's why I said it like that. Because you can't say things like that. I'm going to rise to the right hand of the Father. You can't say things like that. It was looked at as blasphemy. That's why Jesus never says in the exact words, quote, I am God, worship me, unquote. That's why he didn't say things like that. And I know I'm speaking to the choir. I know you guys all know this stuff, I'm assuming. But I'm just saying, I'm just letting it know in case for some reason that's not there. So anyways, I'm explaining why they were baffled by him, why he was doing the things he was doing and saying the things he was saying, is because he's showing and proving that he is God in the flesh. Continuing on with the lyrics here. Satan tempted the Lord to fly down like a tourist. Man shall not live by bread alone. You gave us the Eucharist. Satan was a fallen angel, and you rose from the dead atoned. Okay, this was just, it's a very common, obvious, everybody knows this, that Satan tempted Jesus, okay? Now, did I mention everything that happened? No, of course not. And I'm not going to do that. And I'm not, people know this stuff for one. And if I mention every single thing, like I said, it's not possible to do that. And I'm not going to disrespect anybody's intelligence by thinking I could possibly cover everything for Jesus, my Lord and Savior. So what I mentioned that in this, okay, Satan tempted the Lord to fly down like a tourist. Now that sounds funny, but that's actually a deep double meaning. Now, words like that weren't used back then. Tourist? No, the word was sojourner for one. But anyways, fly down, that means physically levitate down. That's what happened on the mountain, okay? Satan told him to do that. And he said, thou shalt not tempt the Lord. Now, I didn't mention that, but here's my point. Satan wanted the Lord to fly down like a tourist. Now, that's a common slang in 21st century that you would say that. You'd say the tourists fly down to Minnesota. Oh, the tourists fly down to China. The tourists fly down to Jamaica, etc. Common language. But what is a tourist also? What is that? A tourist is someone foreign. But Jesus is omnipotent. He's not foreign to anywhere. So you see how it's a deeper double meaning than it sounds like? It sounds like I'm saying something just to rhyme with Eucharist, but it's actually deeper than that. Anyways, Satan tempted the Lord to fly down like a tourist. And then I quote Jesus, man shall not live by bread alone. Okay? I say that to follow up with, you gave us the Eucharist, which is his body. Look at how beautiful that is. Man shall not live by bread alone. That's Jesus' quote. And then I said, you gave us the Eucharist. Just look at that. Shutting Satan down and explaining why Jesus prevailed. And then I explain in the next line the difference. Satan was a fallen angel, which is true, by the way. And I said, and you rose from the dead atoned. So look at that. Satan fell, but Jesus rose. Look at that. Perfect comparison. I think everybody understood that. But again, because I'm Adam Stark, and I'm not bragging just to brag, but this is what I do, folks. This is my talent, okay? So I put my talent to work, but for once for the Lord's sake, and not just for the sake of hip-hop competition, and to prove to myself that I am an incredible writer when it comes to technical skill. I did this for glorifying Jesus. Now, continuing the lyrics. Divinely honored Bible authors. They said, spread the word to everyone. Even on the Sabbath, the Lord's work is never done. From Bethlehem to the Nephilim, it's a tall order. Even before mail services, Psalms, Romans, Hebrews, the Bible's worshiping all over. Okay, so very simple. Spread the word. Now, that's a double meaning, not a double literal meaning, so I'm not giving myself that much credit because under scrutiny, it wouldn't work that way. But it's a double implied meaning. Spread the word. That's common 20th and 21st century slang. That means talk about it, get this information out there. Everybody knows that. But if I'm also being literal, the Bible has physical words that needed to be spread out and brought to other places, right? Yes. So if I'm saying that they said to spread the word, that's what that means. Okay. Now, I'm mentioning that in specifically Psalms, Romans, and Hebrews, there's a lot of worshiping in those parts of the Bible, as in literal worshiping. And then I make it a double literal meaning because I said before mail services, the Bible's worshiping all over. Oh, interesting. So in Psalms, Romans, and Hebrews, there was worshiping all over. Yes, you can read that if you think I'm lying for some reason. And then I'm saying mail services, Bibles were space shipping all over. shipping. Bibles were past tense shipping all over. Oh, the Bible's worshiping all over and the Bibles were shipping all over. Oh, okay. You get it? I hope you get it. They're physically going all over and the Bible has worshiping all over. That's what I'm saying. Okay. And then just a little light line, even on the Sabbath, the Lord's work is never done. That's because the Sabbath was supposed to meant for everybody to rest, but Jesus wasn't resting. He was doing things on the Sabbath, and this was getting people angry again. And Jesus explained their hypocrisy, but it's also a deeper layered meaning. I don't have the time to unpack this right now, of course, but the deeper meaning there, of course, is that the Lord still works on the Sabbath because the Lord's working 24/7. So there you go. That's why I said his Lord, even on the Sabbath, the Lord's work is never done. Now, from Bethlehem, that's an area, to the Nephilim, it's a tall order. Now, that's just a funny punchline. The Nephilim, if you didn't know, those were giants, as in physically huge and tall. Okay, so the Nephilim, it rhymes with Bethlehem. And a tall order, that's 21st century slang. Tall order means that there's a lot to do. And Nephilim are tall, so it's a tall order. It's just funny. It's not a double literal meaning. I wouldn't survive under scrutiny to call it a double literal meaning, but it's a double implied funny meaning. And then, of course, to spread out to everyone, so it's a tall order. Okay, I think that one makes sense, but anyways, I'll continue here. All right. Gain knowledge and don't break the commandments that he mentioned. We're all striving for less sins. That's a double meaning I just said, but let's make it a triple meaning. Try again. Okay, I'm going to stop before I continue. This line I came up with the double meaning, and then I came up with the triple literal meaning, and I didn't know which one to use. And my brain's always going to say, oh, I'll do the triple literal meaning because that's more talented. That's harder to do. And then I said, you know what? But I kind of like the way the double literal meaning sounds. Like I feel like I can hear people saying it, out of respect, like people quoting my song. And I thought, well, why don't I just do both? So that's what I did, which is not like me. I don't normally do that if you look at my songs. But anyways, so the double literal meaning first is lessons and less sins. lessons, that's knowledge. We're striving for lessons, knowledge. And I said, and don't break the commandments that he mentioned. We're all striving for less space sins. Okay? Less sins. That's breaking the commandments. Less sins. We're striving for that. Less of sinning. And we're striving for knowledge. We're striving for lessons. Okay, then I made a triple meaning. In the next line, gain knowledge and be like Jesus and don't break the commandments that he mentioned. What we're striving for is beneficial lessons. Boom. Triple literal meaning. Now, the third meaning is be like Jesus. That would be Jesus's essence. So here's the triple literal meaning. The first word is beneficial, which is the same for all. And that L at the end of the word beneficial blends itself carefully. You say this at the right speed to make it blend with the word essence after, okay? Beneficial lessons, Lessons. Beneficial space Less space Sins. And the third literal multiple meaning, beneficial space Essence. It's a triple literal meaning. Awesome stuff. Continue with the lyrics here. That's a triple meaning, but this is a teaching. Human beings are more than flesh, that my body breathes. The triune God is a trichotomy. Jesus, am I right? Every time a human is born, there's flesh plus a spiritual form. Boom, boom, dude. Love this line. One of my favorite lines in this entire thing that I wrote here, dude. Okay, so human beings are more than just flesh. Just like the Trinity, it kind of explains this too. So, not kind of. I don't know why I said that. But it explains this too. So, because you're Christian, because you want the fullness of the truth, you are not just a body. You are not just skin and bones and blood and matter. Okay, you have a spirit, you have a soul. Okay, that's the promise that we get for following the triune God who is real and Jesus is alive. This is what you get. This is why you get to go to heaven. Okay, so every time a human is born, now, did Jesus make me? Well, no, I'm born in the 20th century, so I'm centuries to 10. So he didn't literally put his hand on and make me. No, of course not. And nobody would say that. We all come from him in the beginning, but that's different. So humans make the flesh, and that's why I said that. Humans make the flesh. But who makes the spirit? And listen to how genius this double literal meaning is. I said, I'm talking to Jesus as if I'm having a conversation with him. I said, Jesus, am I right? Every time a human is born, there's flesh plus a spirit you will form. Now, you have to say it at the right speed to make it rhyme perfectly. So it's as if I'm talking to Jesus. I'm saying you plus a spirit you will form, plus a spirit you will form, or plus a spiritual form. spiritual space form. Because human beings are not just flesh, they're also a spiritual form. And I'm saying that there's flesh plus a spirit you will form, as in Jesus, a spirit you will form. Boom. Amazing double literal meaning. You have to say this at the right speed or it does not work, because perfect rhyming is the only way to make double and multiple literal meanings. So you have to say it in the right speed or it doesn't work. Okay, continuing with the lyrics here, verse 4. Genesis, God said, let there be light, but Jesus is called the light. This made the Israelites blunder. Who can speak of themselves this way? God doesn't have a number two. They had to learn he is one with the Father. The Trinity's teachings come to you. Okay, now before I continue, what this, so in the book of Genesis, the first book in the Bible, God said, let there be light. Everybody knows that. But Jesus has names that he has mentioned throughout the Gospels. One of them is the truth, and one of them is the light of the world. Jesus is the light of the world, okay? Now, why am I making a line about this? Because when Jesus said that, the Israelites were blundered because they go, you can't speak of yourself this way. That's blasphemy. And so they were angered at him. So why would you say that, Jesus? God doesn't have a number two. He's the only God. What do you mean? And they didn't understand the Trinity yet, and they didn't understand this. So what he's saying is this. He's saying, I am the light of this world. Just like he said, before Abraham was, I am. He's explaining to them that I am God. You just haven't accepted me. And I'm giving you a horrible, non-detailed way of explaining that. I apologize. But my point for the lyrics' sake is, in Genesis, God said, let there be light. Now that's Genesis in the beginning, okay? But Jesus is called the light. So I'm explaining, that's why I said that. So you can see that, okay, there's a reason that he was saying he was there before everything, and he's also called the light of this world, okay? Now, here's where it gets really good. This is one of my favorite lines in the song. Continuing. He could speak, plus he is also the sky's light illuminating from the moon, because they witnessed the sun said right in front of you, quote, I am the light of this world. Now, I'll stop right there. So, the double literal meaning here is sunset, sunset, and sun space said, S-O-N space S-A-I-D. Okay, they rhyme perfectly. You say it one way and it works. So if he's the light, then when I said in the setup line that he could speak, as in Jesus could speak, plus he is also the sky's light illuminating from the moon. Well, what is the sky's light illuminating from the moon? That's witnessing the sunset. That's what that is. And I also said they witnessed the sun said, with words, S-A-I-D. The Son said, as in Jesus, the Son of God, Son said right in front of you. And that's why I said, quote, I am the light of this world, unquote. Because they witnessed the sun said, what? And then I say the quote. And they witnessed the light illuminating from the moon, which is what? The sunset, S-U-N-S-E-T. Boom. Amazing double literal meaning right there in plain English. I was, just awesome. Now, continuing here, this isn't biblical. This is me, okay? Now, atheists, I'll use my own interpretation to humble you. Light can be seen everywhere, but light is also untouchable. Okay, so what this is saying, basically, I hope everyone understands this. Okay, untouchable. Now, that's common slang. It means they're the best. It's untouchable. So somebody, you can say that all the time in various ways. You can say your favorite wrestler, your favorite basketball player, your favorite football player. They're untouchable, bro. But I'm saying Jesus is untouchable because he is the king. He is the Lord of Lords. Okay? And so that's why I'm saying Jesus is untouchable. Now, that light of this world that Jesus is, and I was explaining off of the background, going with the setup saying the sunset and that sun's light, okay, that can be seen everywhere. You go outside, you can see it, but it's also untouchable, just like Jesus. Now, untouchable means physically not being able to grasp it with your fingertips, right? But that doesn't mean it's not there. It is there. So when you say, well, I don't believe in Jesus because I don't see him myself, that doesn't mean he's not there. Okay, sunlight, you can't physically touch it. Your hand would burn off and melt. Okay, you can't touch that light, but you can see it, and it's everywhere. So it's just a beautiful comparison, but I'm also giving him the ultimate compliment using modern day slang. I'm saying he's untouchable. Okay, continuing with the lines here. The blind man beggar sought you, Jesus, and he said you healed his defect. Jesus could describe that man's defect and his very own crucifixion, saying, quote, I went through attrition. 2 miracles in one, if you will listen. Blind man went from being a peasant to having supervision. This is awesome. So I took the existing, every widely known, understood miracle story of Jesus healing the blind man's vision. But I took it and respected it in such a way that I enhanced it with the language by making it double literal meaning. So Jesus healed his defect being that his eyes don't work. And he said, I can explain that your eye had a defect, and I can explain my crucifixion by saying, quote, I went through attrition. The only word that changes is I. From the letter I, Jesus speaking upon himself, and the quote, I, and then I, E-Y-E. I went through attrition. If your eye has a defect, that I went through attrition. And Jesus being crucified, that act was Jesus, or him speaking first person, I, going through attrition. Perfect double literal meaning. Just awesome. Then I continue it, and I say 2 miracles in one. If you would listen, a blind man went from being a peasant to having having supervision. Okay, supervision. If your eyes are able to see, then you supernaturally have vision now, and you have supervision. Okay, because you couldn't see before, now you have vision. That's supervision. Now, also, a common slang term is supervision. If you are in a job in the workforce and you're a peasant, you're not going to have anybody under you in the workforce, no employees under you. But if you had supervision duties, then of course you would have people under you. So I said a blind man who's also a peasant now has supervision. See that? Double literal meaning. No longer a peasant, he has supervision, and he's no longer blind, his eyes have supervision. Amazing. Amazing, perfect, double literal meaning. Oh man. I worked really hard on this, as you can tell. All right. Children belong to the kingdom of heaven. You should be like they are. Never cause them to stumble. A single discretion will hurt the most precious and could change hearts. Basically, I'm saying here in the teachings of Jesus, children are of the utmost importance. They are precious, and you are looked at as the most wicked, worthless piece of crap in the world if you cause a child to stumble. Okay? If you're the reason a child loses faith, I don't want to say, but I feel like you're going to hell, because clearly Jesus is saying how important they are, and that the kingdom of heaven belongs to children, because children are kind. Children don't get their minds corrupted like adults and grown-ups and old people do. That's like in the teachings of Jesus. So I'm saying, okay, how important children are. So don't cause them to stumble. Be like them instead. Because if you make their hearts change, that's horrible and you'll hurt them. And they're looked at as the most precious, okay? Now, continuing the lyrics here. Children praised Jesus in the temple. Wouldn't you do the same? Read the Gospels. Here's an example I'll show. If you read Mark, it highlights the blueprint he made. Just awesome. Okay, so anyways, children did praise Jesus in the temple, and people were upset about that. But I'm saying, wouldn't you do the same if you knew he was God? The children didn't have a problem with it, so why are you having this problem with it? Why don't you have the sense that the child has? And then in the Gospels, there's I know I'm speaking the obvious here, but there's a Gospel of Mark, okay? So I said Mark, and then I said, for example, I'll show if you read Mark, past tense, if you read Mark, it highlights the blueprint he made. Now, read Mark, R-E-A-D, space Mark, as in reading it in the past tense, and a physical color read Mark, R-E-D, space Mark, and then I said it highlights the blueprint he made. Highlights means it makes it understandable to read, and a blueprint is the foundation of his words and his teachings. And then red mark can literally mean a highlight, as if you took a red mark over the existing text physically and you did like a highlighter, it would highlight the words, being the blueprint he made. So it's just a really cool double meaning there that I just wanted to show. I just thought it was neat. That's all. It's not too deep. It's just something cool. Like, understand children are important. And, if you listen to Jesus' blueprint, you can't go wrong. So don't make up your own blueprint. Don't make yourself the standard for the fullness of the truth. Go by what Jesus taught. Okay, now the next line. The Sermon on the Mount, the Sermon on the Mount, a singular moment in history for you to bear in mind. Imagine witnessing this group rare sight. Okay, double literal meaning. So the Sermon on the Mount is one of the most beautiful moments in all of Scripture. It's one of the few things that I think of off the top of my head that shows that this clearly comes from God, and that this is the utmost important. So the Sermon on the Mount explains Jesus' teachings when he's given them. I think it was Matthew chapter 5-7, I believe, and what was it? It was a singular moment in history, making it a group rare sight, rare R-A-R-E sight, and a group prayer sight. That's why I said that. That's why it's a double literal meaning, because they were praying during that Sermon on the Mount. He taught the Our Father, etc. So there you go. Group prayer sight and group rare sight. Double literal meaning. Okay, verse 5. Christ died, and after 3 days he'd raise. Like the whale and the plant, it's the sign of Jonah. Then like a born-again Christian, you will find Jehovah. Psh, this is easily one of my favorite lines I've ever written, period. It sounds awesome, it's epic, and it's so true. It's right on the money. And, to explain this very clearly, Christ says he's the sign of Jonah, and look for the sign of Jonah. It says that in the Gospels. Okay, what is the sign of Jonah? In case you don't know, people probably already know, but if you don't know, the sign of Jonah was swallowed by the whale. He was gone for 3 days, and then he came out, and there you go. Okay, so Christ, when he died, a physical bodily death of flesh, he didn't cease to exist. No, I don't want to confuse the issue, but his flesh died, and he experienced a human death, because he loves us so much. He died. 3 days later, he would raise, in past tense, H-E''D space raise, R-A-I-S-E. He rose, raise. Okay. Now I said, like the whale and the plant, it's the sign of Jonah. Why did I say that? Why did I mention the plant? Well, if you read Jonah, after he got out of the whale, Jonah I'm talking about, after he got out of the whale, he went underneath a plant. The plant was took away by God, and the heat rays, Heat, space Rays, the heat rays from the sun was burning Jonah on his head. He had his head smothered with heat, scorched with heat, okay? So heat rays sounds and rhymes perfectly with heat rays, HE' space RAISE, and the double meaning there, heat rays, HEAT space RAYS. Boom, it's just perfect. That's why I said in the setup, like the whale and the plant, it's the sign of Jonah. Christ died after 3 days, heat rays, like the whale and the plant, it's the sign of Jonah. Then like a born-again Christian, you will find Jehovah. Okay, so after 3 days, who do you find? You find Jehovah, you find God, you find Jesus, okay? And then a born-again Christian, that's somebody that finally finds faith, and that means they found God, so they find Jehovah. Okay, so I'm pretty sure everybody understands that one. But as I was writing this, I actually said this. I already had the line ready at the bottom where I said, then like a born-again Christian, you will find Jehovah. And I was planning on saying Christ died, and after 3 days, he'd raise like the sign of Jonah. Like, it made sense. And then I said, oh my gosh. As I was like writing this down, I said, wait a minute. 3 days, he'd raise. I said, that sounds like heat rays. HEAT rays. It sounds like heat rays. And I'm like, yeah, in Jonah, there was heat rays. I'm like, why don't I implement that and make another meaning? Oh, I'm so proud of this one, dude. Seriously. It's just, the sign of Jonah, they're talking about being gone for 3 days, and they're talking about the whale. They don't talk about heat rays enough. It doesn't get brought up because in Jesus, in the Gospels, the main point is 3 days. And I thought, I'm going to use my talent to enhance this. And that's exactly what I did. It's just awesome. Okay, continuing with the lyrics here. Jesus lived our worst human experiences. Didn't fall into temptation of carnal desires. He spoke the hard truth without fear of resentment. For his name's sake, people will become martyrs for thy words. Jesus made a new covenant for us all to reach heaven. Death no longer means you cease to exist. Thanks to him, you can see your ancient brethren and those precious dead relatives that you miss. So pledge honor his teachings and enter life by his side. In heaven, eternal bliss awaits you. Better than anything on earth can make you feel or yearn to change you. Appeal to Christ and no stranger. Don't worship the created, only worship the creator. Okay, so this one's pretty self-explanatory. I didn't really use any metaphors, and I didn't use any double literal meanings here. I just explained his teachings, okay? And teachings aside, I explained the fact that Jesus loved us so much. He was not born into a rich family or a royal family where he didn't have to work. No, as you know, he was born and his father was a carpenter. He did back-breaking carpentry work, okay? He didn't do any of the carnal desires that we all sin today and fall into temptation doing. He wasn't out there doing, I don't have to explain this stuff, but he wasn't doing all those things that we sinners do all the time or once in a while, whatever. He didn't do any of that stuff. So despite all that, he lived our human experience at its worst. And that's how much he loves us. He did that, okay? He spoke the truth. Even when it was hard, he always spoke the truth, okay? And for his name's sake, people will become martyrs and die for thy words. Yes, that has happened. I mean, look up Justin Martyr, Irenaeus, Ignatius. The list goes on, okay? And then Jesus made a new covenant for us all to reach heaven. That's important. He made a new covenant. So it wasn't just for the chosen people. This now covenant reaches to anybody who accepts him. Christianity is the belief in salvation through Christ. Okay, so that's the new covenant he made for us. How could you not love him? He extended this to us. And of course, death no longer means you cease to exist. No, thanks to him, when you die, you actually enter life, as they say, because you go into heaven and you get to see those dead relatives that you miss. I mean, how could you not love this man? How could you not? Like, don't you miss your relatives? Don't you miss your relatives that have passed away? Don't you want to see them again? Like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what we're talking about. That's what he's teaching us about. And in heaven, eternal bliss awaits you. Better than anything on earth can make you feel or yearn to change you. Okay, there you go. Because the carnal desires of the flesh, they're not in they're not in heaven, they're not in heaven like they are on earth. On earth, all that stuff is here and it's corrupting us all the time. That stuff is not in heaven. That's what we're saying. And of course, one of the most important quotes I could ever tell people: don't worship the created, only worship the creator. That's a very strong, important lesson. Okay? Keep you on the right path. And that's how you can spot people that are doing it wrong and people that are corrupted. All right. Anyways, continuing here. Find a Christian community as taught in Galatians. Compute, then find the right click to open up other options. Strengthen your faith. Psh, this line is crazy. So Galatians talks about finding a good Christian community. It's important to be in a good Christian community because that keeps you on the right path because of that peer pressure you're getting from others and stuff. So awesome. I think that's self-explanatory. I don't think that's hard to figure out. Okay. I said compute, which means to understand, but compute is also a signal that it could mean something to do with a computer. I said then find the right click to open up other options. Okay. An amazing double literal meaning. So right click, RIGHT space CLICK. That's like on a mouse. If you hit the right click on the computer mouse, it opens up other options. Literally, your screen options will pop up on your computer screen. But I'm also saying find the right click, RIGHT space CLIQUE, right click to open up other options. Because as taught in Galatians, that's why I said that, and that's why I made it rhyme like that, because they talk about finding a community. Another word for community is click, CLIQUE. So look at that. Double literal meaning, awesome, amazing. I just enhanced the teaching in the way that I knew I could figure out how to do it, and there you go. All right, next here. In terms of science, alpha and omega, people like me will learn to apply this. Jesus, you're the truth to churches, the first and the last of all kind. So when atoms in mass, it's just a matter of time. All right, this is awesome. So one thing I find all the time is the lie, and I remember believing this lie when I was young, that you're either with science or you believe in God. You can't have both. Such a lie. There's so many scientists that know that we are made by intelligent design, and that proves the veracity of Christianity, whereas everything else falls flat. They don't have the facts on their side. So in terms of science, I put terms with apostrophes around it to give you a hint that I'm going to use scientific terms in this punchline. In terms of science, alpha and omega, as quoted from Revelation. I am the alpha and omega. Okay? I said, I'm now making it personal to Adam Stark. People like me will learn to apply this. Okay, science, apply this. Jesus, I'm talking to him again, like I'm conversing with him. Jesus, you're the truth to churches, the first and the last of all kind. Because Jesus is omnipotent, is omniscient. So he was there in the beginning, before there was a beginning. He was there at the end. He's the first and the last. Those are exact words attributed to him because that's the truth. And he's also called the truth. So I said, Jesus, you're the truth to churches, the first and the last of all kind. So when atoms in mass, it's just a matter of time. Now, why is this epic? Atoms, ATOMS, mass, MASS, and matter, MATTER, those are terms of science, or those are science terms, science vocabulary. But I'm also saying when atoms in mass is church, when atoms, ADAMS, make it about myself. So when atoms, physically, me, when atoms in mass, in church, it's just a matter of time. Okay, so mass and matter and atoms, they are all, there's many trinities in the world. There's solids, liquids, and gases, atoms, mass, and matter. They all go together. So you have all three. You can't have just one. You have all three. So when atoms and mass, it's just a matter of time. So when physical atoms that make up all matter, well, how much is the mass of it? The mass being the volume of it. But also, when atoms, Stark here, when atoms in mass or church, it's just a matter of time. Wait, it's a matter of time? A matter of time until I figure out what? that Jesus is the truth to churches, as that's why I listed it that way in the setup. See, I explain everything in here. So I wrap it really fast, and that might be a problem, but that's why I like to list it, and that's why I'd like to do videos like this, breaking it down as well, and that's why I give you visual aids such as words in parentheses and words with apostrophes around them so you can understand it a little quicker. All right? And the final line in this song, Micah and Jeremiah shows the fig tree was barren of its spiritual fruit. Jesus fulfilled the prophecy of what will happen to Israel's roots. Cursed it, but it didn't immediately fall like an older vine. Spring season, think, we saw this pass over time. All right, so the story of the fig tree. There was a fig tree. It didn't produce any what's called touch. I might not be pronouncing that right. I apologize. But when a fig tree has the touch on it, those little red bumps, that means it's going to grow figs, fruit. If it does not have that, it means it's barren. It means it's not going to have any fruit, and therefore it has no use. It's not going to feed people for Passover time, because this was spring season when it happened. Okay, Jesus cursed the fig tree, and it was not immediate, but later it did wither away and physically go away. Okay, so that's why I said it didn't immediately fall like an older vine, because an older vine, it's going to break off. It's going to fall immediately. As soon as it gets to a certain age of oldness, it's going to snap off and fall off because it's not going to have enough life force in it to stay steady. You guys know this. I don't have to explain this. Tree branches and stuff fall when they get old. You guys know this. But I also said, so the fig tree, it's not going to happen immediately and fall like an older vine. We will see that pass over time. 3 words. Pass, space, over, space, time. Pass means die. Pass means wither away. We're going to see it pass over time because it wasn't immediate. So it's not going to pass now. It's going to pass over time. Okay? I think that makes sense. I think everybody understands that. But it also said, spring season, think, we saw this Passover time. So Passover time is obviously the celebration of Passover. So that's what this was being prepared for. But let's take it a little deeper. What was the point of the fig tree? The fig tree was prophesied in Micah and Jeremiah and probably other things too, to be honest, but at least those two, Micah and Jeremiah in the Old Testament. It likens Israel to a fig tree who was barren of its spiritual fruit. So fruit, not literal fruit, spiritual fruit now. And they're saying Israel was barren of that spiritual fruit, and the fig tree represented Israel, and that Jesus was coming to take care of that. So Jesus cursed it because this fig tree was like the prophecy in Micah and Jeremiah saying the fig tree was Israel, and Jesus cursed it. And that's what happened. It was barren of its spiritual fruit. And so Jesus fulfilled that prophecy. I mentioned all this in one line, okay, in one paragraph here. And so that's it. I wanted to cover that story as well. And so there you go, folks. I covered it. This is the most important lyrics I've ever done. This is about my Lord and Savior. This is about my faith. This is educational somewhat, but if you already know all these stories and you already know all this stuff, then you can't call it educational, but you have to call it well done, well written, because what I have done with it is I've taken existing things and I've enhanced them by using layered multiple literal meanings and figurative language, and I have applied them at an adept level of craftsmanship. And I did this to glorify Jesus in the name of you, because I love you and you have saved me, and I'm not the only one. And I am simply here to respect you, to glorify you, and to honor you in my way. You can do it in your way. This is my way of doing it. My talent is this. And I should have done this a long time ago, but finally I've used my talent for you, and not just for the sake of competition, for the sake of crafting some cool lines that I like and to impress people with. Instead, I'm doing it for a sincere purpose. I'm doing it to glorify you, because I love you, I need you, and we all need you, and we thank you. That's what this was. If for some reason you guys think I didn't cover something, please comment or message me and let me know. I have uploaded this song and the acapella. I've put it up on every single free platform and archive on the internet that I could find, that I have. So social media, everything, I've put it up on there. Public, it will always be free. I would never charge you anything that I do or make. I've never done that. So if you see that, that's fraud. That's not me. Okay? And also, right after this, I did a video with the stopwatch on camera, because I'm also a former fast rapper. And what I would do is, with the stopwatch on camera, and I hold the stopwatch to prove authenticity so I can survive under scrutiny, so you know it's real and it's not fabrication, I would rap really fast, while again, holding a common phone stopwatch. And then you could test it and look at it and see that I was really fast at rapping. And you can slow down the footage and hear and understand every word that I say is valid, and I'm not mumbling words or muttering nonsense. I'm actually speaking words really fast at an adept level of speed. After I put out this song, I did the Lord's Prayer. The Lord's Prayer. I did that song. I did the Lord's Prayer. I did that entire thing in 9.8 seconds. That's how fast I did it. With the stopwatch on camera and everything, I did that right after I did this song, just to glorify them even more. Now, don't be silly and don't say something like that I would actually pray like that. No, absolutely not. That's disrespectful. I would never pray like that. I don't take prayer as a joke. What I did was I took something in existence that I have never seen speed rapped before. So fans of talent such as speed rapping and speed talking, I wanted them to ponder and think, what is he saying? Well, I'm saying something very important that you should all be saying. So hopefully I can reach more people that way too. Okay? But I did that so you can see how fast I am, and to prove when I do this song that I am fast, and that you don't think that this was fabricated speed or trick editing or something when I uploaded this rap for my Jesus Christ is Lord epic rap song. So you can see that I am a fast rapper. I didn't cheat or do some fake engineered stuff. Okay, so did all that. Now you know. Please reach out to me. Let's put these raps here, these verses, let's put them on other songs, on other instrumentals, maybe something you have. Let's collaborate, and you can take this rap, put it on your own beat that you've made or something. Stuff like that I would love to do. The only thing I ask for is my credit. That's it. I want my credit. Very simple. That's all I want is my credit. I want people to know that I wrote this. I want people to know that I am glorifying God in my own way, and that's this way. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I appreciate it very much, and God bless you all.